Thank you for your participation. Welcome to this webinar jointly organized by the Philippine Multimodal Transport and Logistics Association and PortCalls. My name is Mariel Cleachco and I am from PortCalls. This activity is being conducted as a service to the logistics community and in the interest of helping stakeholders comply faithfully with government regulations. Today, we will learn about Department of Energy regulations on certain energy-intensive industries, including transport, related to the Energy Efficiency and Conservation Act of 2019. We will know if your company is part of enterprises obligated to submit the annual Energy Efficiency and Conservation Report, and the deadline for submission here. It's already very near. It's coming up soon. If your company is covered by the regulation, you will also learn about how important it is to appoint an energy conservation officer or an energy manager in your organization. In addition, our speaker from the Department of Energy will inform us about penalties and remedies available, if any, for your companies that violate the regulation. Thank you again, everyone, especially our officials from the Department of Energy. Our presenter is Patrick P. Aquino, CESO 3 Director, Energy Utilization Management Bureau. Mr. Patrick P. Aquino is currently the Director of the Energy Utilization Management Bureau under the Philippine Department of Energy, DOE. His engagement in the DOE spans over a decade, initially serving as part of the Office of the Secretary. From there, he held several key positions within the department. In 2013, he became the Director for the Information Technology Management Service, where he initiated the modernization of the information technology framework of the Department of Energy. A year after, he was appointed Director for the Energy Utilization Management Bureau, or EUMB, and pushed for the institutionalization of energy efficiency and conservation in the country. Issuances such as the Philippine Energy Standards and Labeling Program, along with the Minimum Energy Performance Standards, were created during the tenure at the EUMB in 2016, which are among the essential components of the Energy Efficiency and Conservation, or EENC Act, that was enacted in 2019, after more than 3 decades of its initial draft in 1988. Now, Director Aquino, with the support of the DOE, stands at the forefront of the implementation of EENC in the country. He is the Career Executive Service Officer 3, a distinction exclusive to civil servants who have exceptional performance and have undergone stringent screening processes, which is finalized by a presidential appointment. Ladies and gentlemen, a virtual round of applause for Director Patrick Aquino.
Good morning. First, we'd like to thank PortCalls for inviting the Department of Energy to provide you a brief background on Memorandum Circular number MC 2020-05-001, or the compliance of designated establishments under the transportation sector. Republic Act number 11285, or the Energy Efficiency and Conservation Act, was signed and approved by President Rodrigo Roa Duterte on April 12, 2019. Upon publication, it became effective on the 22nd of May, again in 2019. It seeks to institutionalize energy efficiency and conservation, enhance the efficient use of energy, and grant incentives to energy efficiency and conservation projects. Designated establishments, in your case, refers to a private entity identified as energy intensive. There are 3 classifications. These are other designated establishments, those which consume at least 100,000 kilowatt-hour equivalent, but less than 500,000 kilowatt-hour equivalent, of annual energy consumption, type 1 designated establishments, those in excess of 500,000 kilowatt hours but less than 4 million kilowatt hours equivalent, and type 2 designated establishments, or those in excess of 4 million kilowatt hours equivalent. Note that this is a combination of both fuel and electricity. Now, why does the transport sector matter? In terms of the total final energy consumption based on the Philippine Energy Plan 2018 to 2040, the sector accounts for 28% of total greenhouse gas emissions. It represents 49% of oil products consumed, 36% of which is directly attributed to the transport sector, and the bulk of that specifically is on road transport. In terms of vehicle statistics, we're seeing at least 3,168 cargo vessels registered with the Marina in its 2019 report, 483,594 trucks and trailers from the 2019 LTO report, and a total of 66,349,887.21 kilos total cargo weight ferried by air freight forwarders in 2019 from CAAP. In terms of accounting for transport energy use, as a designated establishment, all consumption, both electricity and fuels, must be considered. Again, there are three classifications. The classifications will determine the extent of your obligations as a designated establishment under the Energy Efficiency and Conservation Act. To start off, one of the obligations include the integration of an energy management systems in your operations. Again, designated establishments are encouraged but not mandated to integrate energy management system into their business operations. So you can either go for a certification or just adopt the principles within your business operations. The second obligation is really an engagement of an energy conservation officer and energy manager. These are applicable for type 1 and type 2 designated establishments. Specifically for type 1 designated establishments, you are to engage an energy conservation officer or ECO. For type 2 designated establishments, this will be your energy manager. At this point in time, registration is what we are requiring, as the certification procedures are under development with its training modules. Rest assured that once these training modules are available, we will be informing the sector. There's another obligation as well to duly notify the DOE in writing on any changes or appointment or separation from either your ECO or ECM, EM, as the case may be, within a 10-day period from such personnel action or movement. Another obligation would be the conduct of energy audit at least once every 3 years. You can either engage the services of a certified energy auditor or an accredited ESCO, and these energy audits must be submitted to the Department of Energy. A frequently asked question is, when do we consider the 3-year period for energy audit? Flashed on the screen are the dates. If you had an audit in 2018, it's valid through this year. From last year, 2019, it's valid through next year, 2022. From last year, 2020, it's valid to 2023. And if you are doing your audit this year, it will be valid to 2024. Note that the energy audit requirement is only for type 1 and type 2 designated establishments. Another obligation is to implement energy efficiency and renewable energy projects and measures. What I will be flashing here incidentally also form part of the examples for accomplishment of EE projects for EEC form number 3 or your annual energy efficiency and conservation report, AEECR. So our EE and RE projects can either be implemented in your main office or in your different facilities. These are just examples. such as the fuel economy improvements, reduction of trial rolling resistance pressure, aggressive fleet maintenance and management, optimization of powertrains, fuel consumption measures to adopted to eliminate long engine idling, and removal first, let's say, of unnecessary weights to improve vehicle fuel conservation. Another obligation would be the submission of reports. This would include the setting of annual targets, plans, and methods for verification of these energy efficiency and conservation projects. This can be done through the submission of two reports, the annual energy consumption report and the annual energy conservation report. If you are first time registering, you also have to fill up form number 1 for the registration of the energy manager, form number 2 for the registration of the energy conservation officer. For form number 3, this will be your annual energy efficiency and conservation report. And for form number 4, that will be your annual energy utilization report. The contents of EEC form number 3 or your AEECR would be as follows. Part A will go into your ongoing energy conservation measures. Part B1 will be your available historical energy consumption by fuel type. Part B2 will be the reporting of your year energy consumption, projected and actual. For EEC form number 4, or your annual energy utilization report, it will contain 1, energy consumption per activity in Part A, and 2, business activity area for Part B. Note that this would be disaggregated consumption if the submission is made for an enterprise. Submission of the ECOEM registration, EEC forms 3 and 4, should be made on or before the 15th of April every year. Flashed on the screen would be your QR code as well as the hyperlink for you to download and accomplish the forms online. In terms of the energy service companies, these are your partners in compliance with the EEC Act, offering multi-technology services goods towards designing and guaranteeing energy efficiency projects, providing for energy savings and cost-effective optimal solutions. As of the start of February, these are 40 energy service companies ready and willing to assist you in your compliance journey as a designated establishment. And before we go, I do have to talk to you about the guidelines on energy conserving design for buildings for your facilities. It encourages the energy conserving design to reduce the use of energy with due regard to cost effectiveness, building function, health, safety, and productivity. It covers facilities with electrical loads of at least 112.5 kVA or with at least 10,000 square meters total gross floor area. We do have also an update on the certification of the energy conservation officers, energy managers, and energy auditors. This is under development, within which once the recognition program is made available, the third-party training institutions will be the one handing out the certifications, and the DOE will be recognizing these certificates either for the ECO, EM, and EA. Validity is 3 years, of course, subject to continuing qualifications. In terms of endorsement to energy efficiency projects, we are working with the BOI under the framework of CREATE, that for projects meeting at least 15%, all the way up to 25%, an ITH will be made available for projects made through the ESCO or by self-finance. We also do a recognition program for energy efficiency for establishments that implement best practices as well as projects. And then in terms of the overall plan for the commercial industrial sector, this is just an outline and overview of what we are intending to do, pulling in the streams in terms of professional services, third party through ESCOs, as well as the conduct of activities in terms of the building. And specifically for the transport sector, our policies would include, apart from the monitoring, engagement of the services professional, the submission of the reports. We will be promoting next generation vehicles or hybrid vehicles towards the development of a minimum energy performance specifically for the transport sectors. All of these are envisioned within 2030 with the higher efficiency standards for engines and vehicles, improving the transportation sector's ability to meet the energy efficiency requirements. I do have my technical team here joining us in this call. If you have any further questions, please do reach out to us. And thank you again for the opportunity. Good morning.
We are fortunate to have with us Engineer Artemio P. Habitan. He will answer your questions. He is OIC Division Chief Energy Efficiency and Conservation Program Management and Technology Promotion Division of DOE. Would you like to put on your video, sir, Mr. Artemio Habitan? Good morning, sir. I see one question right here on the chat box. I will read it for you. I think you're still on mute, sir. Hello? Yes, you're good. I'll read it for you. Hi, good morning. We would like to know, how can we track the KWPH from 2016 until this year? How do you suggest we get the data? Let me repeat. We would like to know how we can track the KWPH from 2016 until this year. How do you suggest we get the data?
Well, actually, I do believe that all of these companies of yours, they kept their data information. So what we are being asking is just to fill out all the form that they can retrieve from our website. So they have to go back and get this information and fill out this form. So it's actually not really hard, to fill out this report, because it's been used for so many sectors also, even in the commercial buildings as well as for the industrial sectors. But this one, this is a tailored fit for the transport sectors. Okay. Yeah.
Okay, that's clear. Thank you, sir. Any more questions? Keep them coming. We're waiting. Don't be shy. Type your questions in the chat box. We are waiting. We have Mr. Artemio Habitan from DOE to answer your questions.
And by the way, Mariel,
Yes.
may based on the presentation, it was presented that
Yes.
the unit is therein is in terms of a kilowatt hour consumption.
Okay.
And then right now, the business is actually using this diesel, maybe gasoline, and other types of fuel other than electricity.
Okay.
Now this is actually the unit as presented in the law, or also in the Department of Circular MC 2020-05-001. Actually, that unit is the unit as approved by the Senate, both of the House of Congress at that time. So it means that the unit being presented or stated in the law or in the this is the standard unit. So if you, let's say, if you're using diesel as fuel, to run your
Vehicle.
transport business,
Yeah.
yes, then we have this conversion of factor to transform or to convert these liters of gasoline or diesel into a kilowatt hour equivalent unit.
Okay.
Because yes, so that's quite easy, and then we can provide, if you really want to get this information, we can provide. But for now, in answering the form as being required, you don't have to convert these liters of gasoline or diesel into kilowatt hour. Just a straightforward filling out the report based on your actual consumption as
Okay.
stated in your report. Okay,
All right,
so
that's
that's
clear.
some
Yeah. You just
issue.
fill it out for your consumption, and there's no need to convert diesel and gasoline. Okay, that's clear.
Yes,
Maybe some of them
some
are worried, no? Paano ko ba to i-convert? So it's not really necessary. Just fill out your exact consumption. Okay, there's one question here, sir. Are businesses with logistics or trucking service required to submit an annual report? Are there any exceptions?
Okay, that's why it is necessary for us to get first all your submitted reports, so that for us to be able to know whether you are qualified really to submit, or you are being within the classification of threshold as required under the law. The lowest consumption being required are those
Yes.
consumption consuming in terms of kilowatt hours equivalent. I don't have yet the conversion for 100,000 kilowatt hour equivalent right now, but maybe in a while we can provide you on the lowest consumption, let's say for diesel as well as for gasoline consumption. Now, as presented a while ago by Director Patrick, you can see we have the three classification of thresholds. Those are consuming 100,000 kilowatt hours up to 500,000 kilowatt hours. That's for the other designated establishments, meaning this group have to submit only reports. But for the type 1 and type 2, wherein consumption ranges from 500,000 up to 4 million kilowatt hours equivalent unit, they really have to, even to hire or maybe to designate or appoint their own energy conservation officer and or energy manager, really depending on the magnitude of their annual consumption. Now, so that's more or less the requirement for these, transport business sector. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, thank you, thank you. There you have it. I think you're really better off just submitting your report if you are unsure. And it was clear earlier, no, that to get a manager for that and an officer. Where do they find the link to the docs? Where do they find the link? Where do they find the link to?
Yes, so we can provide you with that, because as being required to us right now is only just to present the what's in there in the law, not really to provide the presentation for the transportation sectors, because we have another type of presentation wherein we are showing the forms to be filled out, including the conversion of factors. But for the purposes of this presentation, this is just an overview of the Energy Efficiency Act.
Okay.
But we can provide you later on, ma'am. Yeah.
Okay. So, but are there specific requirements for hiring an energy conservation officer? Since you mentioned earlier na kinakailangan yon, or a manager, are there requirements for hiring one?
For now, we don't have any
Qualifications?
For now, we don't have any requirements in terms of their let's say education, or maybe based on their experience. But eventually, the energy conservation officer as well as the energy managers will be required to undergo a certain level of trainings, and
Okay.
they will be given a certification for that. Now,
Okay.
currently, we are undergoing a certain level of development of the training rules and regulations, as well as for the modules and accreditation of institutions for this training program.
So for now, I guess we can just appoint, somebody who's well versed at least, or if there are no qualifications yet set by DOE. Okay. So will there be fees required when submitting the reports required yearly? And will there be fines for late or non-submission? How will DOE monitor that all transport companies that fall under type 1 and 2 are submitting the required reports?
Should they fail let's say to comply with the requirements, we will just they will not be penalized in an instant. They will be we will write them, and then we will request them again to submit. up to that level. And then if on the second or maybe on the third time that they have not been able still to comply, then maybe they need some help from us in terms of maybe they don't know how to to fill out this report. In other words, we will exert all our efforts, to help them a lot. As much as possible, we're not going, to impose any penalty, provision as required, as being stated in the law, because it's not really the overall requirement of the act. Actually, we you and I are enjoined, to conserve energy and use it judiciously, not really to fine, when things like this are committed. Thank
That's
you.
nice. I understand there's a deadline though of April 15. Is there a way this gets extended? Submission of requirements at least?
Yeah, yeah. Actually, there was no extension for this because this is a law. This is, stated in the law. So maybe what they can do is that try to fulfill the requirements, and then should they fail, then maybe they can write a DOE for that, and then provide some some sort of a reason why they have failed to comply with their obligation, and then that's it. And then maybe they need some help, then we will help them.
Or maybe you can already heads up DOE. We're February 22, so there's a month and so many days yet to come up, submit all the requirements. And if there's any difficulty as early as now, Mr. Habitan is already saying you can ask for their help. Yeah, so you don't wait until the deadline. So it's clear that there is no extension for now. It's Feb 22, like I said, that there should be time to comply and commit to the requirements. For the other DE, what are the reports that must be submitted and where do they submit?
Actually, okay, the first report that they have going to submit as part of their obligation is on the annual energy utilization report. So I'm referring to the energy used on their operation. And then the second report is that they are required to submit the annual energy efficiency and conservation report. This is more or less their plans and programs, okay, for the entire year. So that if they have, things like, let's say, a certain roadmap, towards being energy efficient, and if they have any plans to make their business operation, the entire fleet to be a fuel fuel
Lagging, sir, from your end?
efficient, then it must be stated in that portorial requirements. Okay, so how's that again, ma'am? Portorial requirement is that. Do you hear me still?
Yes, yes. You lagged a bit, but you're good now.
Okay. Now, the third report that is being required or part of their obligation is to have their facilities undergo a certain an energy audit. I really do not know, for this type of business operation wherein you run as a number of fleets, transport fleets to a certain, energy auditing. But for the commercial as well as for the industrial sector, this is true. This is really a big requirement. But for this type of business, still, this is really a bigger question mark. Not only for me, I think, but even for the actual implementation of their obligation. Energy auditing, it's not, to me, it's not applicable. It's short to say. For the fleet, what we can do is to look at their annual energy efficiency and conservation report based on their plans and programs. That they may want to come up in the next, let's say, 12 months or even in the next 24 months to make their business operation efficient. Thank
So
you.
you share your roadmap plans until the next 12 months, and that's what DOE would like to hear about. Yes. From Daisy Ilagan, she is asking, sir, our company has 33 trucks for lease and gasoline. Diesel are for the account of the lessor. In this case, who will declare the energy consumption?
Actually, whoever owns, of course, this fleet of vehicles, they should be the one who should, liable to the Department of Energy and has the obligation to submit reports to DOE.
Okay,
So,
that's clear.
yeah.
Okay, from James, if a company secures third-party trucking services, are our company required to submit the consumption of our third-party trucking provider, or the third company should have their own compliance?
Actually, still, my answer to that is that the principal owner should be, the person in charge in the operation of their vehicle. Because, for example, if there will be any failure on the part of the third party, assuming, for example, to comply with their obligation, the Department of Energy, if we will try to impose, sanctions or even invoking the penalty clause provision of the law, then it will be still the principal owner or the owner of these fleet of vehicles.
Yes.
They will be liable.
Yes. I think the third party's liability is to the principal provider, right? Yun yung pananagutan nila, but at the end, it's really the principal owner who is obligated to make all the reports. So, and not leave it to the third party. Yes.
Maybe I would suggest that they really have to discuss this, so that in terms of records of consumption should be given to the owner.
Yes.
To the owner of the vehicle, so that they themselves know how this vehicle consumed, and how, in terms of fuel economy, how much consumption does this a particular vehicle consume
Yes.
per kilometer, for example.
So that's the accountability of the third-party provider, to declare to them the consumption to the principal owner and provider. Well, I am reading. Aren't there more? Ladies and gentlemen, we still have time, and let's take advantage that Mr. Abitan is here. We can still accommodate questions if you might have any. Keep them coming. While we wait, let me refresh what we have learned. So starting April 15, 2021, transport establishments must submit an annual energy consumption and conservation report to the Department of Energy in compliance with the Energy Efficiency and Conservation Act of 2019. It was clear earlier that the deadline is not going to be extended. However, we are not going to get penalized. So as early as now, if there are any difficulties that you will be encountering, go ahead and heads up our DOE, and they will be there to help you. Walang penalty, pero inaasahan naman po na tayo ay magko-comply sa deadline ng April 15. Covered by the requirement are entities, companies whose main business operation may include fleet management, air transport for commercial air passengers and cargo, hauling services, logistics services, delivery, shipping services, land, road transportation, railway transportation, and sea transport for passenger and cargo ships. All designated establishments with an annual energy consumption of not less than 100,000 kilowatt hours are required to comply. For April this year, the annual energy utilization report should cover a period of 6 years, 2016 to 2021. Transport establishments should also submit an annual energy efficiency and conservation report for 2020 and 2021. Establishments must have a designated appointed energy conservation officer or energy manager who should be registered with DOE. Sa ngayon po, wala naman pong qualifications, no, or training necessary, but we are getting there to equip the officers and managers needed for here. Any more, Mr. Habitan? Any more tips or last words you have for the logistics industry?
Yes, I wish all of you would comply with the requirements of the law, and you have your obligation actually. And this is not really for the Department of Energy, but this is actually for you. This is really a win-win a scenario
Solution, yes.
wherein we are advocating for the energy efficient utilization of fuels, not only for for electricity, but for all liquid, solid, and gaseous fuel as well. And this is not only for the transport sectors, but this is cutting across all energy consuming sectors, commercial buildings, industrial or manufacturing sectors as well. So we join you to to comply and follow the what is being required to you, and then that's it. This is really
After
for the
all,
country.
After all, it's really for them. It's really for us. Maraming salamat po. I can't agree more. Thank you for your time, Mr. Artemio Habitan, and of course to our Director Patrick Aquino. Maraming salamat po sa inyong panahon. And to all our participants na sumusuporta at sumusubaybay, palagi namin kasama. Maraming salamat po.